Welcome back, everybody, to the forlightpodcast, weekly podcast of gaming news, and everything entertainment related. I'm your host, Ethan, alongside my co-hosts.
Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Leighton.
And I'm Aiden.
So today is a very special episode. This is our second podcast in this Talk to the Expert field that we've done. Today we are joined by our guest, Kaleb Scott, and he has a little bit of a delay, so his response is not going to be the quickest, but that's just going to be something we're going to have to deal with.
It's also our second pre-recorded it.
Also, dude, this is rackety as heck, too, though, because audio listeners, we are having a Bose speaker play into a microphone right now. Couldn't figure out a better alternative.
It's
Also,
called
Kaleb,
budget.
can you hear us?
It's great to be here.
All right. Kaleb, welcome to the podcast. Can you hear us
Yeah,
well?
that's true.
I don't know how this delay is going to go, but it's not
Yeah, I
going
can
to go.
hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I just want to start off. What is your talk to the expert or game or genre that you're working on?
So I'm working on flying Star Wars and War Sims.
Yeah. So you're really I'm obviously we're actually good friends off podcast. That's why we had him as our guest. But big thing.
Good friends.
Big thing is
You didn't have to ratio to them like that.
I didn't take you to Disney World or anything.
Shut. I have to find the.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I just, you know.
But, Kaleb, I actually had a quick question for you. I'm not really well-versed in this area at all. Can you give me, a little introduction into what these games play like, what do they feel like, and why are they interesting to you?
Start with Star Wars games.
Okay, I was going to say, more specifically, what were you looking for? I mean, in terms of, Star Wars games, I mean, I have a very imaginative, personality, so it's a lot of fun to, play these kinds of games, and, it's, you're kind of there, in the action.
Right. So you've played a lot of Star Wars games from what we played. What is your favorite Star Wars game? And just go into a little bit of detail of why.
It's a little hard because, like you said, I have played a lot from, Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons, Battlefront 2. But honestly, I mean, the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, probably my favorite Star Wars game. I mean, playing it on the 360 and, having friends come over when I was younger and we got to play. It was a lot of fun.
So I also just want to say really quick, Ethan is sick for this episode.
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned Ethan is sick.
So please,
I don't know what's going on.
forgive the coughing, the spontaneous coughing every once in a while.
Trust me. So
Don't worry, he's turning directly towards me.
I am his
Actually,
roommate,
take it
and
from that.
every once in a while, he will just absolutely explode into a coughing fit. It's just out of nowhere. He just. But so, Kaleb, you say that your favorite Star Wars game was Lego Star Wars, right? Or was I mishearing and distracted by the cough? I totally could have been.
No, that's true.
But can you talk a little bit about that, and especially the remastering of those games recently, or was it a continuation? I'm not exactly fully sure.
Also, that's a good take, Caleb.
So I have actually started playing the new one. I didn't pre-order it like I originally thought I would, and then it came out and it was really expensive, so I just didn't have the money for it at the point in time when it came out. So my roommate actually mentioned that he had it, and so him and I have started playing through the levels, and it's nice because it's a refresher from when I was younger and I used to play with my brother or my friends.
Yeah, I remember playing the old Skywalker Saga. That was actually the first game I ever played, period, back on the Wii, and I beat that game so many times. I beat the pod racing level in my 8-year-old self, and that it holds a lot of memories for me.
I actually meant to ask about
that shit took me so long to do. Little Caleb was not happy.
Yeah.
I have very fond memories of all of Lego Star Wars except for that level, which I found was very easy as an adult.
So actually, I want to comment on that too. I recently bought those games on the computer. They were on sale, like the entire collection for like $5, and I was like, I am absolutely going to take that steal. I want to have that bit of nostalgia.
Oh damn, that's sick.
So I have a question. Am I misremembering the pod racer stage? Because I think I went through that. It's like the first fucking like level, really. Like, I remember playing the pod racer shit. I first tried that thing. It was no problem
it is
at
stupidly
all.
easy as an adult.
Yeah, as an adult, it's easy.
Because
As
you've
a
been
kid-
playing
no,
racing
as
games.
an adult, I can complete it. It's not hard. Like I played the new one, and like on the race,
Schroeder.
and like as a kid, I remember doing it, and it like literally took me like 6 tries.
Yeah, so, sorry, there was a little pause there in what you were saying. Could you actually go back and, like, give us a little overview there for a second?
It was more of like I restart like playing this new one now. I beat it first try, and it has been a while since I played the original. But I do know, like Aiden said, as an adult, like replaying it's a lot easier. I just like something with our underdeveloped brains and not being able to like avoid objects flying towards us at increasingly large speeds.
I will say, I actually do have a question about basically Star Wars games as a whole. Do you think there's one that, like, trumps in difficulty? Like, to put it in just, like, comparative terms, the veritable Dark Souls of the Star Wars universe?
I know exactly what you're hinting towards, and that would be Jedi Fallen Order. That is, like, my really close tie with, like, top Star Wars game, because like, it came out, and I remember me and Ethan were like, this is incredible, this is so much fun, and then we would just get stuck on a boss level for, like, a week, and just wouldn't progress at all. And, I mean, we're not even on, like, a hard difficulty. Like, it was genuinely just, like, a normal difficulty. I mean, I'd have to look up what his name is, but, like, there's, like, one boss in it, and I think it took me literally like 4 days to complete, and I spent like an hour a day, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't actually think Nick has ever completed the game. I'm fairly certain that he stopped on that guy and just didn't progress.
So can you tell me a bit about that game? Like, is there character customization? Can you choose your side? Can you choose who you play as? Like, can you tell me just a little bit about that? I've never been introduced into this game, but I do know it is notoriously difficult for a Star Wars game.
So it is pretty much, so in terms of like Jedi Fallen Order, it is pretty much just like Dark Souls. It's like walk around, explore, there's like crates that you can get things from. In terms of character customization, there is quite a bit, and that's like some of the stuff that you can get by exploring and like traveling. And there's multiple like planets you can travel to, and so like with those planets, like it's there's like a percentage that you can explore, and like when you fully explore a planet, you've unlocked like everything from the planet.
So that sounds like a really interesting like concept for a game. I mean, do you guys have any questions about like the Star Wars universe or anything like that?
Well, the Star Wars universe is obviously incredibly expansive. Well, the Star Wars universe is incredibly expansive. There's a lot to work with. So, the Jedi Fallen Order really kind of takes that world building and takes that that lore and runs with it with a new thing that encompasses old concepts. And I think they did a really, really good job. I have not played the game myself, but I have seen a lot about it and heard a lot about it from Ethan and Caleb. And I actually probably should play it at some point. But honestly, that's all my thoughts about it. What about you, Layden?
Well, so
Also, I know that too, like in terms of like.
No, you're all good.
You're good.
There's so much
If you wanna
delay. It's
talk
fine.
first, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, so I really love like a lot of like the music that like goes into the Star Wars games, especially Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, there's a scene or like there's a part of the game where you get captured by like a bounty hunter or whatever, and like the music while you're inside of like this like arena. Like I would play it over and over again when I like would go and fight like a boss. And so, it's supposed to be just like this small like one-time use song, and they I kept playing it like on my phone while I was fighting different bosses because it was just one of those songs that like made your blood pump and like made you want to like continue the game.
Oh yeah, no, I
I
totally.
know too.
I
You
totally
did
understand
ask
that.
about like more about like the customization in it, and I just wanted to include you can customize like the way you look and then the way your lightsaber looks and the color kyber that you can like change your you can change the color of your saber, and they did add in that you could have a red saber and that you could wear like an imperial uniform, but you can't like I guess change your side. It was more of just like
Aesthetic purposes.
like an extra option that people were really like wanting to see.
All of this is honestly very alien to me, but I feel like an area that I would feel a little more comfortable with, besides, me having played a very few Star Wars game, would be like some of these Star Wars flying games. Do you want to comment on any of those? Because I know a lot of these games have an incredible amount of just, all around flying capability.
Terms of flying, Battlefront 2, I played Battlefront 1 and 2, not the originals, but like the I guess the newer ones, you could say. But I love the flying mechanics in those games, and I like the starfighter battles, like those were my all-time favorite. And I remember playing Battlefront 2 and being like, all right, Ethan, like, get everybody on. We're playing Battlefront. And we'd get everybody on, and then I'd load us up for Starfighter Assault, and he would just completely lose it and, like, leave the lobby. And, he was not very pleased with me when I would try and load up, the squad, like, the Starfighter Assault game modes. But
with Squadron specifically, I think the draw for that was just the incredible flight capabilities of that game. I just think it worked really well. Oh my gosh.
Sorry about that. My headset just decided that it didn't want to work.
Well, with that, I think that really covers like Squadrons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
Squadrons always reminded me of No Man's Sky, but with combat, better combat.
I honestly, it really is what it is. But I know
No Man's Sky is actually a good point to do. I know you've played a lot of No Man's Sky.
Star Wars Squadrons. That I was up 5 a.m. when that game first came out. I pre-ordered it the day pre-order was available. I tried to convince you, Aiden, and I know I tried to convince Ethan to get it. And he was like beyond like I'm not touching that game with like a 4-foot pole. Like I'm not I'm not playing
just 4
that
feet?
game.
That's not
I
very,
hate flying games.
that's not very long.
And he okay, I'm sorry. Okay, listen, I couldn't think of the expression.
Oh boy.
I kind of blanked there, and that was the first number that came to my mind. Either way, he didn't want to touch the game because, his words, not mine. Apparently, I've heard that he's, really bad at flying games, which, I'm not really surprised. He's kind of bad at a lot of things. But, like, that's okay.
Hey, that's messed up.
But I know there are many versatile games out there in the Star Wars universe. I know one of Leighton's favorites, he actually wanted to talk a bit about.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if you've if you've ever touched the Force Unleashed games, and like if you have, what your thoughts are on that.
So I have not. I have seen them, and they looked really good. I've always wanted to play them. I have played a Star Wars Connect game, which I know that a YouTuber by the name of JonTron went over it. Sorry.
I own that. I own that game.
Oh boy.
I own that game right now.
But he brought up the hard points of that game, and the Connect wasn't insanely well.
No.
So, it was kind of one of those things that I noticed. I never finished that game. I got stuck on a speeder bike
Oh
for
yeah.
a portion,
No, I remember
and
that.
I just had to shut it off because I
As
was
you do.
losing it. But like, I haven't played Force Unleashed, but I am definitely open to play it if the time comes.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, especially for you, because it kind of plays like Fallen Order does in that you're a specific person within the Star Wars universe, but you do have a little customization. Like you can change the color of your lightsaber, and there's not much more than that. Like you can't actually. I think you can change your clothes. I haven't played that in a while, but it runs very well, and it's one of the
that one's
more
based
fun
in
stories
Old
I've seen.
Republic times, right? Is it or is it Empire? Because it's Starkiller, right?
Mm-hmm. It's Starkiller. I believe it's Empire because Vader's in it. Yeah. No, it's
Okay, yeah, that's right. Because there's Darth Vader. I forgot about that.
Both of those games are some of the most amazing Star Wars games I've played. I definitely highly recommend them.
Would you consider it more of a beat 'em up rather than a Souls-like?
Yes. Yeah, I would consider it more of a beat 'em up than a Souls-like. So I guess in that respect, it's not like Fallen Order, but it is a single, character-driven story.
So I have oh my gosh, why am I forgetting Star Wars something of the Old Republic or something like that.
Tales of the Old
Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic. I know that is a hugely popular game, especially
David, isn't that one that you tried to convince us to get?
Yes, and none of you guys did. I played it
It's
for a
an
bit.
MMO.
It's better with
MMOs.
friends. It's better with friends. And yeah, it is
No,
an MMO.
because you were
but,
like, what type of game is it? I don't remember, but you were like, guys, it's incredible.
It was really fun, and I think it was more fun with people who actually knew.
Isn't it like a
But-
Warcraft knockoff, basically?
Kind of, yeah, basically.
I don't like Warcraft, anyways.
You don't like Warcraft?
No, I do not like Warcraft. I hate that style of game.
That is a mortal sin.
David, if you want, David, I will download it over break, but I also have to figure out what I can use it with, because I have my tiny all-in-one PC that'll probably explode if I try to do anything other than solitaire.
Hey, I get that.
Yeah, do you want to tell what PC you have?
No, I don't want to dox myself.
He's got a Raspberry Pi, basically.
I don't want to dox myself.
Yeah, he basically has a Raspberry Pi running off an old Lay's chip as the CPU.
He's got a moldy Lay's chip. He's gonna change it every 3 hours.
My
It's
GPU is a
run by
cookie.
potato power. He's got it plugged into 4 potatoes.
Hey, it was a fun science experiment.
It's still working.
It can run Doom.
It runs Windows. Can it?
Hey,
It's a
but
You haven't played Doom
science
Eternal
Not
yet.
Eternal, I mean
Did
the
you,
original.
Did you use a marker and draw the Alienware logo on it somewhere?
It does have the Alienware logo on it, though.
Oi. Hey. No, don't dox me.
No.
Okay, well, for the record, I got that computer before I understood anything about PCs, so
okay.
don't blame me.
So I wanted to move in now. I know that you were
Sure,
really
okay.
big into war games and wartime simulators. Once again, a category which I am not well versed
Yes.
in
No.
any regard.
Very much so.
But I want you to talk a lot about that because I know for you in specific, I know for you in specific, you know a lot about tank games. I know you know a lot about specifically, I believe, World War II games. Do you want to talk about your interest in that field and why it interests you?
I think my draw, I've brought it up to a couple of people because they have asked me why I, bring up World War II a lot, or it's kind of one of those things where I'm it's a topic I'm really interested in. And it is a little, personal. It was more of when I was younger, I would go to my dad's house and we would watch old World War II movies, and I think that it's more of I remembered watching those things with him, and it was something that made us both happy, I guess. And so I, little more than that I won't necessarily talk about, but it definitely a younger sense of seeing things and just kind of being excited about it. I know people are gonna hate me when I say that I haven't played any Battlefield game other than Battlefield 5, and that was only because I was ooh, World War II.
So I know actually Leighton is very adept in this topic, and to an extent where he rivals your expertise. But I know he has a lot of comments about this, and he'd be able to hold up a conversation a lot better than I could. So you want to go ahead? You want to ask questions?
Well, yeah, I was just waiting for the delay. I wanted to know if Caleb had any final thoughts on that. So I do have one question for you. That from what I've been told, I don't know you too well, Caleb, because I know this is like the first time really we've talked at all. Like Battlefield. I know that you like Battlefield, or at least I've been told that you like Battlefield a lot. I personally, I haven't played much Battlefield. I've played Battlefield 1 and not 2045. What's the older one? Hardline. I played 1 and I played Hardline, and I tried running 5. My PC can't run 5. But I found Battlefield 1 incredibly fun, and then I found I found Battlefield Hardline also incredibly fun, but they have like different like you have different ways of playing them because they're set in different time periods. Like Battlefield 1 is World War 1, Battlefield Hardline is like some modern take on some like modern warfare. So I just wanted to know from you, Caleb, like which Battlefield game specifically had you played, and which one do you consider the worst?
So I have only ever played 5.
Interesting.
You've never played 1? I'm
I
surprised.
don't really know if I can say that there's like a worse one. I have heard poor things about the newest one that came out.
Yeah, I've not touched 2045 with a 10-foot pole. I feel like that joke has been made today, and I just totally forgot about that.
Yeah, 10-foot pole. No, it was a 4-foot pole.
Yeah, no, yours is a little
Yeah,
longer.
I said 4 foot.
It's okay.
Don't worry,
It's okay.
Caleb.
The Grinch song is 9.5 foot.
Because I'm an idiot.
9.5-foot pole.
I also want to ask more about like what is considered like a war game? Because I know for me, I played like CS:GO. I don't know if that's considered a war game.
No,
like,
I would say it is.
What was it? Black Ops. I played Black Ops for a bit. Is that considered a war game as well? It's just I'm not fully sure about what constitutes a war game at this point.
Okay, you know what? Hold on, I'm gonna just do it. Okay, hi everybody. As you can tell, I was gone, and also I was for audio listeners, I was in the chat. I'm sick still, and so I decided, best thing, because I coughed violently in a different room, that I probably wasn't gonna stay on for the entire time. But listening to the conversation is very entertaining. But I swear to God, I was going to lose my mind if I couldn't talk about some of the things that the guys are mentioning, just because they don't have the experiences of me and Caleb playing hours on like Battlefield 5 and stuff.
Oh boy.
He would have played multiple other games if he had listened to us, to me and Nick, when we constantly would tell him to download Battlefield 1, Battlefield Frontline, Battlefield 4, and brother just never did it. Never did it. Frontline or Hardline? Is it?
No, Frontline. I think you meant Hardline, and I realize now that I think I played Battlefield 4, not Hardline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think, hopefully Caleb can hear me. I don't know if he heard past that, but there's a delay. That's okay.
He is not talking. He is totally
It might be
here.
his mic. His mic might have died.
Oh God.
Which would be so bad right now.
That would be
But
so
so-
funny.
It's okay, I can finish one.
Oh my God! No way.
No way, his mic died.
So I can probably stick out. I was drinking water and just it's kind of coming back. But I'm gonna go at some point. But I think one of the main things about Caleb that's different with how his military-esque stuff, like with games and things, is that he's really into the intricacies of the certain planes, the tanks, the vehicles and stuff like that. And that's just been always something like, I mean, Battlefield 5 was shit on so much, just because of certain historical facts and stuff like that weren't correct. We're not going to get into that. It's a different discussion. You shush. But
I have opinions on that one.
there was like an entire thing of just basically that aspect was kind of thrown out the window. Not a lot of people played it, but he was so into some of the vehicles, and like he does a little shout out to him. We're definitely shout out him out at the end of the podcast. But he does a modeling TikTok, and just has a bunch of pages about modeling, and he does like tanks, he does ships, he does all this like all kinds of stuff. But really, it's like it's playing through that game and him well, obviously we're having a lot of fun. We're playing a video game, but he's also doing so much on the front of just kind of studying the game, and that's a really awesome. He hasn't gone into a lot of war games-esque. I mean, he plays War Thunder a lot. I think the aspect of like what our discussion is that he doesn't have a lot of information on intricate games like Battlefield and stuff, but he's really into some of that military aspects, and he likes to like critique a game, specifically like War Thunder, like all of those planes and stuff. He could go on a 30-minute rant right now about like the wheels of like a fucking plane, and I'm just like sitting there like, Caleb, I just want to play. Caleb, I just want to play. And he's like, but like, dude,
I would say that, like,
that's my take. I'm gonna leave as well, just so you know.
I would say that in that regard, it seems like War Thunder would be like the perfect like flying war game for you, Caleb, because it's got all of that. Like, it's got like many different like branches of like technology that you can go into for different like countries and different planes, and just they all fly differently. They all have different stats. They all like act differently. So tell me a little about what it is about the intricacies you like.
So I like you guys were describing while I was trying to figure out why my mic was being really stupid. Also, sorry the audio is going to sound worse. It is coming through my phone. But, you know, I was a big fan, like you said, of like the intricacies. I am a huge fan of like the technological developments like during World War II. I mean, like Germany creating the first jet engine, and like hearing those like audio clips of like P-51 pilots just seeing it like fly by and not knowing what just passed them. You know, it's like I said, like the little things, like, you know, fun fact, the only ship to hit the shore on D-Day was the USS Texas, because it decided to flood half of itself so that it could shoot at a 45-degree angle and bombard the shore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it flooded half of its chambers just to basically tilt it so that it could yeet it even harder downrange.
So I'll keep it fully real. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm not a big war nerd. I love the history and the cultures of people who lived 2,000 years ago. But if you ask me about World War II and World War I, all I'll know is that something happened with the Jews.
Something
As
happened.
a Jewish man.
As a
Yeah,
Jewish
I'm
man,
also
something
Jewish.
happened there.
No, I'm definitely no, but I definitely personally understand the interest, especially in World War II. I think World War II history is literally my favorite history to learn about.
Well, because it's incredibly intricate.
Yeah, it's incredibly intricate. There's so many things that happened. Like the whole like German technology, where while it does seem like everyone always says, oh yeah, German technology was insane. German technology is superior during World War II or whatever. No, but it actually was. Like, the Germans creating the V-2 rocket, which, devastating weapon, but it was the first instance of real, intricate, fully developed rocketry in the world. It's insane. Like, I've played a lot of games, I've read a lot of stuff on World War II. I've watched a lot of shows, like Band of Brothers, I think, is literally my favorite show of all time. And, like, that... That's hard to say because...
I am almost done with that.
It's so good. It's hard to say that, too, because Psych is... How do I put Psych at second best? But Band of Brothers is literally... It's my favorite show of all time. And it's... for those who don't know, for context, it's a World War II movie about... Or it's actually a mini-series, an HBO mini-series that talks about... or goes through the experience of Easy Company during World War II, the 101st Paratroopers, I believe they're the 101st, or I could be wrong, but it goes through their experiences during World War II, and it's incredibly, I don't know what the word is, it's incredibly thought-provoking, it's very, it's a war drama, but it's actually, like, go into very intricate detail about the things people saw
that's a good way to put
and
it.
the people went through.
It puts you in like the conflict and everything.
It really does. They had multiple, and it's real stories. It's not based on a real story. I mean, it may be dramatized a little bit, but it is real stories from real people. They had the real, like, Captain Winters, who was the commander of Easy Company during that time, was on the show. They had Malarkey, one of the very prominent people, one of the very prominent people in the show. They had Malarkey talk, like, afterwards, and did his, like, they went through different things. Like, they were talking about the Battle of the Bulge. They were talking about flying into France and a whole bunch of stuff. And you see this all, like, from the ground and see their experience and what happened in World War II. And it's brutal, and it's very dark, and it's very, I don't know, it's crazy at times. But anyway,
Do you
World War
guys
II history is
think
amazing.
there is a superior war movie? Do you feel like there's one? Because, even though it might not be video game related, it's still entertainment.
And entertainment.
Can I extend that to series and say Band of
Series.
Brothers? Because literally, Band of Brothers.
That's a big question.
I want to expand that to Band of Brothers because Band of Brothers is literally the quintessential World War II movie because it goes in depth about
Is Saving
everything.
Private Ryan a World War One movie?
It's World War II.
That's
World War II.
That's literally the only movie I've known. I've never even seen it, but
That's
true.
That one also is that one was very good. It wasn't. I think it was based on a real story, but not to the extent of Band of Brothers, and it was a little more dramatized, but it was a very good war movie, I would say.
So I know a lot about. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the ones. There's a few Vietnam movies which are very popular. There are.
What's that one?
I'm trying
Bridge
to
Under the River Kwai, I think, is a Vietnam movie.
Yes, I believe so.
Over the River Kwai.
1917. Super
1917
Full
was
Metal
famous
Jacket.
World War One though.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. Oh, I have a poster of Apocalypse Now in my room.
Well, I mean, hey, it shows that you're a war buff, which honestly, I don't think is too uncommon.
No,
it's quite
it's
common.
not. I don't know why it is that people are so interested in war history, but it certainly is a thing. That's why you see so many war games. That's why you see so much war, like movies and documentaries and everything about it. But yeah, another one to name, I would say Hacksaw Ridge, like Ethan is saying here in the chat.
Oh, so good.
Was an excellent movie. Excellent movie. And the actor who played the main character, what was his name?
I know too. There's two war movies that I have in mind, and I know that like one of them, which the one I want to say is Fury. I know that a lot of people have like discrepancies like with that movie. But like it appeals to me because it is more of like the tank side, and like it goes with like the tank crew, and like the other one I'm thinking of is, I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Amazon. It's called T-34, and it uses a lot of like, I'm gonna film nerd here real quick, but like it uses a lot of like different types of like cinematography like with its shots, and like a lot of like tracking shots like with the actual shells when they shoot across the battlefield. It's it's one of those things that like it really like it just, I don't know, there's something just really appealing about the way they like shot the movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did watch Fury. Fury was an excellent movie. Again, dramatized a little bit, but I still think it was really good. And I've never watched T-34, but I know that's the like mainline Russian tank that they were using during that time, during the winter when the Germans were moving east through Russia and got their ass kicked pretty much. But yeah, no, it's similar stuff. Like War Horse was a really good movie, and that was a World War I movie. That was excellent, and yeah.
So I find it very interesting because you guys say World War II is more fascinating to you guys than World War One. I honestly, in every representation, I always just find World War One far more fascinating.
Well, because it was the beginning. See, World War II had incredible leaps in technological advancement, whereas World War One was the leap. Like, it was the first time automatic weapons were used, the tanks, the primitive tanks were used, trench warfare, mustard gas. It was a horrifying time. And it was basically just which war crime... Let's get the war crime checklist and...
Yeah,
Write
let's
that all
make
down.
the war crime
Yeah,
checklist.
they literally created it because of that. So.
I would say the reason you find World War One more fascinating is because you're not a World War history buff.
That's fair. That's probably fair.
I think, at least from what I found, people who are history buffs for like specifically world wars and wars in general find World War II more fascinating than World War One. I can't exactly name why. I find World War One very fascinating, but
mostly
not
because
as
of mostly
interesting as
because
World
of the people who shall not be named on Twitch, because that might be bad. But like World War One, it was kind of like a conflict that we got into, where it was like it was two countries that were disagreeing that brought in a third and then brought in a fourth, and then we kind of did to just make them like, okay, split up there and try and help out and stop it and all. But
Yeah, it's
whereas
actually- as
World
soon
War
as
II had a little
America
bit
entered-
higher stakes towards the end of it.
I think specifically for Americans too. I mean, as
Well, I mean, that
Americans,
too, with like World War One, like there wasn't as much documentation as World War Two.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was, but with World War Two, we it's same thing with like the Russian-Ukraine war. We have like documentation from all sides, and like it's one of those things that like we can study better because like of the things that we see.
So I did have a question. Why do you feel? I mean, at least as far as I know, there are no like North Korean or just Korean War games. I feel like that's an interesting conflict. Maybe Vietnam too.
There's a lot of Vietnam entertainment, but Korea, I believe there's not much entertainment because of how short it was, and how like.
And America lost.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we did kind of lose. So.
But at the same time, do you think there's like a reason for?
Did we lose the Korean War? No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. No, we lost.
South Korea is a democratic country today.
Do you know what happened when we pushed into
Well-
North Korea?
Well, okay, that's a different...
Big Daddy China showed up with 300,000 soldiers.
That's true, but South Korea is not part of North Korea right now.
So that doesn't necessarily mean a win.
It's not a loss either.
That's like saying Finland won.
And I think that is the specific reason why Korean War you don't get so much of.
That argument.
That right there.
Interesting.
That's
who
why
we won.
that's why you don't get nearly as much Vietnam War stuff. Although COD is an exception because Call of Duty went into Black Ops and World at War and things like that. And World at War is World War II, but Black Ops is a lot of Vietnam and then goes into Cold War and stuff like that. Black Ops is the only exception here, but the reason you don't get as much for those ones is either it's controversial. Either the U.S. lost the Vietnam War, or it's pretty much undecided with the Korean War. And both of those are very sensitive topics because it's much closer to today.
Yeah, it's like the
than
people
World War II and World
who
War
were
I.
part of that are still
It's like
very
a
much
point.
alive, and the people who had experienced them coming back are still very much alive.
There are people who were in World War II who are still alive, but it's not nearly as many people who were like Korean War vets, Vietnam vets.
yeah.
That does make a lot of sense. I do have a question though. How you guys feel about a specific game? I brought this up last because I feel like this will be a hot topic. The war, I guess, fronted game that I've played the most has been PUBG. And
Does that count?
and I'll keep it real. I brought it up because it is one of the most.
It's not based on like
Actually-
it's like the same thing as like Warzone. Like you could count it maybe, but like with something like Battlefront or not Battlefront, Battlefield, like it's a set conflict. Like Warzone and PUBG are battle royales like Fortnite. Like that's like looking at Fortnite and being like,
Okay, which is this based on?
I mean,
I mean, hey,
Yeah, actually,
is
I think
Fortnite
that's-
a war game?
I think that's where we can make the distinction of what is a war game versus what is a fighting, like a battle game.
Interesting.
War games are based on
actual
real
history,
war.
or at least loosely based on actual history.
Okay, interesting.
I would say Black Ops is loosely based on real history, but is a war game.
Yeah, no, it has works of
You
fiction
could
with
say
actual
war games
conflict.
are leaning more towards the historical side than to like, you know, not.
I mean, my argument here is
Actually, I have an argument for this one too.
PUBG has an extremely intricate weapons base, and all are very accurate to wartime vehicles. Just depend, they're all mixed together, kind of. But at least as it considers in the weapons front and the armor front, it seems very accurate. But I agree with you. I don't think it's a war game.
I have an argument myself for this. Well, I'm gonna not talk about PUBG because that. My argument relies on a different game. Arma 3 is definitively a war game.
No, that is entirely factual.
But
It is
not
a
based
war
on,
sim.
It's not based
Yes.
on any real event happening.
Also, hold on, real quick.
Ethan's
Sorry.
back.
Either back.
I'm just sitting off the side because it's easier for me to kind of just tell these guys when certain things are happening. But like, on that kind of thing of like, there are just certain games that have come out. I think the difference is where they add certain aspects, like I did say it in the chat at some point, of like they're war accurate versus PUBG. You can do some things in PUBG that you couldn't do in like real life.
Dude, what are you talking
stuff.
about? I think a frying pan deflects all bullets.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
yeah. And it's like it's those aspects of like in
Oh,
Battlefield.
absolutely. I mean,
Okay,
you know,
sorry,
it's
could
been a
deflect a
proven
nine-ball.
fact.
Proven fact.
In Battlefield.
Everyone on D-Day. Oh god, nope, not gonna make that joke. Stop that right there.
In Battlefield, it's like the certain shots are being fired in like when you go into a certain plane because of how they were made in wartime and stuff. You had to fire, or there was a hole in the propeller so that the bullets could go through the hole before spinning. And that kind of aspect of like
The
they
specific
specifically added.
Yeah, the specific fire rate of the guns were set to the speed of the propeller. It's incredible the kind of things that they were managed to do during that time. But I think you're right. I think if there is more of an arcadey aspect to it, it's not a war game. Like if you're, although Call of Duty's kind of arcadey, like World at War is arcadey, but not arcadey in the sense
also,
that you
Tarkov's
all reason why-
looking at the chat, Tarkov's also a pretty good example of this. Like, Return to I think
I've
it's
never
Tarkov.
played Tarkov. I would
Escape from Tarkov.
Escape, yeah.
It's basically, I dare
I mean,
say it's
honestly,
similar to
you could
PUBG.
count Tarkov as a war game. I mean, it dives into like the realistic like combat. I mean, like I haven't played it. I've
Actually,
seen
I've-
people play it, but like, you know, there's stamina. I think if I remember right, but
Mhm.
like I feel like I could count it as a war game.
I think the reason why like COD in those modern day ish, like specifically like Warzone right now, like we could have an argument about Warzone 2. Warzone 2 actually that's kind of a nerdy news for right now, but this is being posted later. It just released and it has a map called Al Mazrah, I believe. It's a Middle Eastern-esque city. I don't think it's real. It could be real, but I don't think they do that. But it's the aspect of using, I think we differentiate it specifically from timing, even though that would count, like the Afghan war and stuff like that, or Iranian war. Those things are modern time, and that's why we don't see them as much as like war sims, because we have a lot of information, but it's kind of too fresh to be making games out of. And so when you do stuff like COD, it's
disagree
like,
with you.
Okay, what's your argument on that?
Modern Warfare 2 was the original Modern Warfare 2 was incredibly like, this is the kind of stuff that would happen if Russia were to have bombed the U.S. and invade.
That's
and
fair.
I think people took it, like, people who were in war and actually saw it were like, holy crap, this is like so very accurate. Although it might not feel accurate to those of us who played like actual like accurate games, like Arma 3 is incredibly to the detail. But like I know I I feel like I've heard about cases of people having like PTSD because of like a COD game, like them playing COD or something.
Even like Battlefield and stuff, like how intense that. I mean,
Yeah.
Caleb can go off of this, like just how intense a Battlefield 5 game or even a Battlefield 1 game can get when you're in a mass war scenario. It's like it's crazy.
So actually, I do have a point I want to make
dude,
too.
I mean, you know, of course we do the stupid things like drive really fast in the car and like try to hit people with it. But you know, then there's like you and me playing, and we're like pushing the bridge, and we just see like a bomb fall out of the sky, or you hear like the like the rocket, and you know, we both just start screaming. Like it genuinely like. You know, it's like Ewok Hunt. It was one of those things that was like you kind of forget that you're playing a video game sometimes. Like it genuinely scares you.
Oh yeah. Have you played Ewok?
No,
Also,
I have actually once.
Yeah, no, keep talking.
So I did have a point to make too. I do not feel like they will make a game about like the Russia-Ukraine conflict, for example. I don't think they'd even really touch on more modern issues in like Iraq or Iran.
I don't think a AAA developer would, but I think an indie would, and after a long time.
So I think one of the biggest things about the more modern games is because I feel like they're having to traverse a very difficult world with that stuff. A lot of people, they're seeing a lot more accurate representation of it. So instead of it being a simulation kind of, it's kind of just giving more examples of what could be happening in these situations, which made me make more people upset, which is why I'm thinking it's kind of a sketchy area to be in right now. If you're a game developer, it might just be a difficult time, because I can't think of really, I mean, they can keep doing the same old with World War I, World War II, maybe even Vietnam, but I feel like they're going to have to tap into new territory every once in a while.
I don't know, man. Give me more World War II games. I always love playing them.
There is so much like scope of World
Yes,
War II
sir.
that you could just not.
Yes.
You can't really encompass the whole thing.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Company of Heroes is one
Oh,
of
yeah,
my favorite
yeah.
games of all time, and it is a World War II real-time strategy game. It's incredible game. Graphics are like obviously crappy because that's what it was when it came out. I don't know when it came out, like 2008 or something. But
So I think this is where we're gonna wrap it up today, guys. I just really, I feel like we've really gone through the topics, and I feel like it's just a good natural place to end. But on that note, I just want to say thank you so much to our guest Kaleb Scott today, and I wanted to ask him, where can we find you, and how should we find you?
If you mean like my like modeling stuff,
I mean, sure, you can go with your modeling stuff, Instagram, if you stream on Twitch, whatever you want to say, you go ahead.
but so I typed in my my name on TikTok. I have to figure out how to like link my TikTok to like my Instagram. Maybe I'll make like a LinkedIn. Is that or like a link tree?
Linktree.
if you want a job, you can go for
LinkedIn will do well there, but Model Maker account on TikTok was Caleb_Model
I'll be
Maker,
able to put it
which
up
will
as
be up on the screen right here.
Yeah, up here that we definitely have at the moment.
And I just wanted to say
And I
one
think
more
that
time.
like you can even add in like my Instagram too, because I post like my modeling stuff on my Instagram.
I like thanking Caleb just for being on as well. I know this was a janky episode. This is our first out of area podcast.
First
But it's
out-of-body
a
experience.
lot of fun to have people on, and just generally, like, again, we say it every single stream, the Twitch chat and our friends who stick with us through that 20 minutes of
Audio
mic issues,
Yeah,
and then
actually-
we'll stick with through a jankier episode. But I honestly, I think it was interesting as always. Just it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody, like you were saying, I want to thank everyone in the chat and everyone like listening in, because I think we had like on average like 8 or 9 people this time, which is pretty awesome.
It was better
Pretty
than
awesome.
better than that one episode where we had like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, just to wrap it up, thank you everyone who's watching right now. Thank you especially to Caleb and everything he's doing.
Definitely
He's
want to
such
stay
a
on for tabletop stuff.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
for tabletop stuff. I think that would be great. He's a great friend, and we're always willing to support him, and we love your guys' support.
Yeah, thank you,
So,
Caleb.
With that, thank you all so much, and have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.